Alright, so welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today's video is a little bit different because I'm going to tell you the products that I actually bought, probably even reviewed and returned. I don't know, when it comes to makeup, I feel like it's like a taboo thing to like return makeup. I swear it is, but sometimes it just doesn't work after a while, or the price is just, doesn't justify the product itself, whatever it may be. But I will explain myself. I do have 10 products on my list right now. This is part 1, so if you guys want to see part 2, let me know down below. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take out the products I bought and returned. So yeah, with that being said, make sure you go ahead and like and subscribe, because I think this video is a little bit different but fun at the same time. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Okay, so before I go ahead and start, I do want to say some of these products I have reviewed before, and at that moment, you guys, I really did like them. I still like a lot of the products on this list, but with my skin being a little bit different or oily, or the price or whatever it may be, I will explain myself in a little bit. I just had to go ahead and return them. And honestly, it doesn't mean the way that I felt about the products at the time were wrong. That's how I felt at the moment. But after a while, you guys, people's thoughts and just feelings do change, and I will explain each one. So the first one I do have is a Kevyn Aucoin Sensual Skin Enhancer. When it comes to this concealer, I have heard so many good things about it, you guys. I heard it's very full coverage, it looks flawless, a little bit goes a long way, so on and so on. So I actually went ahead and got it I think a month ago. I never reviewed it on my channel, you guys never saw it on my channel, but with that being said, I did try it out about 3 times, and I do like the end result of it. But I do want to say the amount of work and energy it took to get to the final result was a lot, you guys. Like, I sat there for 10 to 15 minutes just blending and blending. If I blended too much, it just removed the concealer or looked cakey or whatever it may be. It's just something about it that didn't work for me at all, so I did have to go ahead and return it. I will say the hype was a little bit, it was hyped up a little bit too much. But at the same time, it is a good concealer, but for the price, I just didn't think it was worth it. So the next one on my list, y'all gonna come for me, I already know it, but it's a Fenty Beauty Hydrating Foundation. Let's talk about this. So they do have their original Fenty Beauty Mattifying Foundation, which a lot of people do have in their collection. I don't think I ever really loved that foundation. It's very hard to work with. It's a little bit too drying on my skin, despite the fact that I am oily. It just was very hard to work with in general. So she came out with her hydrating foundation. Now, like I stated in my video, I love the way it blends out. I love the way it looks on the skin. I love everything about the foundation. It's very, very easy to work with. But the only thing, you guys, is the color. So when it comes to the Fenty foundation, there's 420 and there's 430, okay? There's no 425, and I do believe if she came out with that shade, it would be my perfect shade. So I actually bought the shade 430 because 420 is a little bit too light for me. I've tried it out before, and it just doesn't look that, good on my skin. So I got 430, but at the same time, you guys, it's very orangey on my skin, a little bit red. I know on camera it probably looked good because I applied, concealer, powder, and all that good stuff, and it looked good at the end. But at the same time, when you buy a foundation, nobody wants to mix it or, have to work extra just to make it look like it fits your skin tone. It just takes a lot of work to get there. So what I actually ended up doing was mixing the hydrating foundation and the mattifying foundation together. I just felt like it was way too much work. When she does come up with the shade 425, I will go ahead and repurchase it. But the fact that I have to mix it just to make it work, I feel like it's not worth it at all. So nothing against the formula. I do love it. I do believe it's her best foundation out there, but at the same time, Fenty, like, I need a 425. Like, come out with a 425 and we'll be good. So moving down my list, the next one I do have is a Kopari coconut deodorant. Let me tell y'all about this deodorant, okay? So when it comes to deodorants, I only use natural deodorants because a lot of deodorants out there have aluminum and different, ingredients in there, and they do break me out and irritate my skin. So a lot of people on Sephora was raving about the Kopari coconut deodorant. I went ahead and grabbed it, and let me tell you guys, it didn't work for my skin. Just put it that way. So when I first got the deodorant, you guys, I will say I love the way it felt on my skin. It was a very nice cooling sensation. I just like the way it performed on the skin. And the first couple of days, I will say I didn't have any problems at all. It did probably last about 5 hours on my skin before I had to go ahead and reapply it. But the 4th or the 5th day, I can't remember correctly, is when my skin got irritated, you guys. I looked in the, mirror, and I had like a rash on there, and I was itching so much that I actually, removed a little bit of my skin. I know it sounds so gross, but I get really itchy if I use a deodorant that is not natural. So my thing about it is it claimed to be a natural deodorant, but for some reason it was irritating my skin. And somebody mentioned that it may have baking powder or baking soda in it. I'm not sure exactly because I looked at the ingredients and it didn't have aluminum, parabens, or sulfates or anything like that. So I'm not sure exactly what is in that product, but I will say it is not a natural deodorant. There's something in there that just doesn't work for me. And honestly, I wasn't the only person that felt that way, because I was reading the reviews on Sephora and a lot of people claim that it also irritated them. So there's something in there that doesn't work for our skin. But I do love the packaging. I love the way it feels on the skin. But at the same time, if it doesn't work, then it is what it is. Okay, so this next one, I already know y'all gonna come for me because it's from Fenty again, and it's the Fenty Beauty Mattifying Primer. So let me go ahead and explain myself, okay? Because I did review this on my channel, if I do believe. I love her primers because, one, the packaging, I love how sleek and nice it is, but also I love the way it feels on the skin, because a lot of mattifying primers out there, honestly, they kind of strip away your oils and they feel very drying on the skin. This primer is a little bit different. It blends really well into the skin. You can wear it by itself and it doesn't leave that white cast on your skin as well. I really do love that about the primer. But the only thing is, if you do have oily skin like me, of course, it didn't keep me matte for, as long as I thought it should, because I will put it on my skin and apply my foundation, you guys, and probably, I will say, 3 hours later, I was getting very oily, and I wasn't sure exactly what was going on, because I thought it would control my oils, but I tried it a couple more times and it really wasn't doing the job. But one thing I do want to say is, when it came to the Fenty Beauty Original Foundation, you guys know how drying that is on the skin. I would apply the Fenty Beauty Mattifying Primer underneath it because it's very hydrating but mattifying at the same time, and those two together work so well. So I will say that. But when it came to my other foundations, it just didn't control my oil as well. So yeah, I had to go ahead and put it on my list, y'all. But at the same time, I love it, but I don't love it that much. So moving on to number 5, I do have the Too Faced Born This Way Super Coverage Concealer, and I know everybody out there loves this concealer, raves about it, and just says it's the best thing out there. I have tried it on 3 occasions and I still feel the same way I do. This concealer, I will say, it does have coverage, of course. It blends really well on the skin. I love the way it looks, but there's something about it I don't like. When I do think back on it, I think what it was the fact that it did crease really bad underneath my eyes. It's so hydrating and creamy that it could never stop creasing, and I never had that issue before, but with that concealer, it was just something that I always noticed. And another thing is, because it's so hydrating on the skin, I'm very oily, you guys, and I know everybody out there is a little bit different, but with me being oily, it will make my area right here, basically where I apply the concealer all over my face, will look very oily throughout the day. So after a while, I just knew it was a concealer, so I had to go ahead and return it. But I will say, I did try, you guys. I did try 3 times and it just didn't work for my skin. But if you do have dry skin, I think it's a great concealer because it probably hydrates the under eyes and looks flawless. But for those who are oily, it's just a struggle for me. And I also baked right on top as well to set everything and lock everything, and I still had the same issue. So yeah. Now the next one I do have is the YSL All Hours Natural Matte Foundation. Okay, honestly, I don't even know how I picked up this foundation because it's just something that I never had on my list. I actually walked into Sephora, looked around, and I just picked it up. When it comes to the shade range, I will say it's not the best. The shades were jumping a lot. They didn't flow as well. I just didn't have a lot of options to go off of. And I think I got the shade 80, I do believe. Don't take my word for it. But the shade was too red on my skin, you guys. That's just what it was. It was too red and too orange. And actually, the Sephora advisor was trying to make it seem like it didn't look that bad on my skin. But I'm looking in the mirror like, girl, like, this is red on my skin. What are you talking about? But regardless, she was trying to sell me on this foundation, so I did end up buying it and I took it home. And honestly, I love the way it felt on the skin. I love the way it controlled my oils. It was very good with that. But the shade, y'all, like the shade, I could not deal with it. I had to apply a lot of like concealer to balance everything out, apply a lot of powders and so on just to make it work. And it's just not worth it to me, honestly. I do believe if they came up with more shades, I will go ahead and get it again. But like the shades just, I didn't have a lot of options. The shade below it was way too light on my skin, and the one above it was way too dark, so I didn't have any choice but to return it. But I will say, YSL, that foundation is bomb. It did control my oils really nice and look good on the skin, but y'all, we need more shades. We need more shades. Okay, so the next one on my list is the Milk Makeup Blur Stick. Okay, you guys know when the Blur Stick first came out, everybody was talking about it, raving about it. I just wanted to go ahead and try it out because, like, I mean, the hype must be real, right? That's how they always get us. But with the Milk Makeup Blur Stick, I liked the way it applied on the skin. I love the package. I love how innovative and different it was when it came to a primer, but it didn't do anything for my skin. That's just the best way to say it. I would put it in my pore areas, which were right here and probably on my forehead also. It filled in my pores, but I will say when I put my foundation on top, it didn't blend that well on top, if that makes sense. So I would apply the primer on my skin, try to blend it out the best I could, and then put my foundation on top, but it didn't make that much of a difference. So that's why I went ahead and returned it. I'm still trying to figure out why everybody was talking about it and hyping it up. I mean, I love how different and unique it was, but when it came to my pores, it just didn't do anything for them. But then again, I do have large pores, so that may be the reason why. But at the same time, it didn't fill it in. Now, y'all know I do love Alyssa Ashley. I love her so much because, one, her makeup it always looks good. So whenever she recommends something, I always go ahead and purchase it. But I do forget that sometimes we do have different skin types. I have an oily skin type and she has a dry skin type. So when she recommends something, I should probably do a little bit more of a research, but I will tell you guys what the product was. And it's a Ren Perfect Canvas Skin Finishing Serum, okay? So I actually do believe that I saw this on her Instagram story and she was raving about it. She said that it just makes your skin look really nice before you put your foundation on. It blurs everything. It makes it apply perfectly and so on. And when she said that, I just knew, like, you know, let me go ahead and purchase it because I always buy everything she recommends. But she does have a dry skin type. So when I got this and I put it on my skin, it kind of feels like skincare, of course, because it is a serum. I blend it out, I put my foundation on, and I try to look in the mirror to see if I noticed anything different, but I really didn't at all. And the worst part was, y'all, like, after a couple hours, I looked so greasy. So I was like, you know what? It must be me. You know, it can't be Alyssa. It must be me, okay? So I tried it again and again, and I noticed that I was just getting really greasy. I think what it is she has a dry skin type, so it probably works perfectly on her skin. It probably looks flawless like always because y'all know she looks so good all the time. But for your girl, I'm oily, okay? So I had to go ahead and return that, all right? And also, if I do remember correctly, it wasn't that cheap as well. So I just knew, like, hey, if it's not working for me, let me go ahead and return it. But I do love that brand because they're very clean. They have, like, a very clean makeup line. They don't have, like, bad ingredients at all. So I will say that's about it. But yeah, your girl's oily, so... So this next one also, I feel like y'all gonna be shocked because it's the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop foundation, okay? I do have the concealer as well, but I did return the foundation, of course, and I will explain myself. So I will say the pros first. The pros is I love the fact that it was a matte foundation. I feel like it controlled my oils really well. And also with that, once you put it on your skin, it actually did look really flawless. I will say that my skin looks so, like, nice and smooth and flawless. Those were the pros when it came to the foundation. The cons on the other side was the shades. I will say, when it comes to a very, very, very matte foundation, when you put it on your skin, it's kind of hard to mask the color, if that makes sense. So I will show you guys what I mean. I do have my Dior face and body foundation right here. It's a very liquidy foundation. It is a little bit orangey on my skin, but when I apply it and share it out, it looks flawless. Like, it actually matches my skin. Now, if you do have a matte foundation, the difference is if it's not like your perfect skin tone, it kind of shows right away, okay? So the shade I got was, I'm not sure if I got mocha. I'm not sure exactly the shade I got, but whatever it was, it looked perfect originally, but the more I wore it, I noticed that it didn't match me, like, the best. I did go back in the store and try 2 more shades, and I couldn't get, like, my perfect shade because when it comes to a matte foundation, if you don't have your perfect foundation shade, it will definitely show. So that was the only issue I had with it. And I will also say that it was a little bit too drying for my skin, because I will try to put it on my skin and apply it, and it was kind of hard to apply as well. But honestly, besides that, you guys, it was a great foundation because it came out with so many different shades for a lot of skin tones out there. So I do commend them on that. But for me, I swear, when it comes to my skin tone, it's just so hard sometimes for me. I don't know what it is, but when it came to that foundation line, I couldn't find my perfect shade. So that was the only thing about it. I do have the concealer though. I do love the concealer. The concealer is very full coverage. It's like a gel type, you know, consistency. It blends really well. It just looks great on the skin. So yeah, I love the concealer, but not the foundation as much. Okay, so I do have one more product for you guys, and it's the Laura Mercier medium to deep powder. Okay. So with this powder, I will say I do love the original translucent powder. I think it's one of the best out there. I always have it in my kit for my clients because it just looks great on any skin type. It is not ashy, doesn't leave a white cast. I think it looks really good. So I knew when she came out the medium to deep powder, I just knew for sure it was gonna be a great powder as well, which it is. Okay, you guys, I love the powder. I think I probably did like 3 different reviews on it on my channel. It's just a really good powder. The only thing is medium to deep. I will say with that sentence right there, it was a little bit too deep for my skin. If I'm being honest, what I originally thought was, because it's medium to deep and also translucent, if I put it on my skin, it'll kind of like melt into my skin tone. But with this shade, it did have like a red base to it, and every time I put it on my skin, you can definitely tell that I had like a red like situation going on. I tried it different ways, you guys. I tried to set my face with it. For some reason back then, I was even baking with it as well. I don't know why I was doing that, because it's not like, it's like a red powder. Why was I baking with it? I don't know. But at the same time, I will say it did set my skin really well. It does like everything the original powder does, but the shade was just a little bit too dark for me. That was the only thing with this powder. But besides that, it was a great powder. I love Laura Mercier. I do hope she creates like one more shade, like an in-between shade. I think that would be perfect, but medium to deep was just, it's a little bit too dark. That's just all it was. All right, you guys, so those were all the products I actually bought and returned, and I do hope you guys enjoyed that video. Let me know down below some products that you did buy and just, you know, honestly, it didn't work for you as well. Let me know down below for sure, but I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you like and subscribe before you do leave, and I'll see you guys in my next one.